Yes, I know that we already have a viewer in the chat who was hoping Harper committed before the game. That's Paul McNeil.
Yeah.
By the way, we're live. So
Awesome. Perfect.
yeah, we were both just hoping the same thing, Paul, but didn't happen. But it was good. He was at the game though.
Yeah. No,
So,
that was huge. But
that means something. Yeah.
No, we got to talk about the game. We can't talk about the.
No, we're not.
about Dylan Harper. We said we weren't going to do this, but
we promised we wouldn't, so we won't. All right. So anyway, because he didn't commit. All right. So here we go. It really did turn out to be, I guess, look, it's not going to be perfect, but if you drew up the perfect game before when we had no idea what to expect, I think this really would have been it, Richie.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty spot on. I don't think it could have went any better. Obviously, there's a couple injuries pregame that people had to find out about the hard way. I will say, like, we kind of knew about it for a little bit now. You're kind of sworn to secrecy when you go see practice, so it's nothing new to us. But for you guys at home that are counting, Sam Brown wasn't playing today. Nassim Brantley didn't play, although that one's not an injury. It sounds like Greg just said that's an NCAA issue, which if I had to guess, we don't know the specifics. If I had to guess, it's probably has something to do with him being a two-time transfer already, because he went from Sacred Heart to Western Illinois to now Rutgers. So NCAA is weird with stuff like that. But overall, I thought the team looked pretty solid. Kyle Monangai had a heck of a day. I know the yards per carry aren't great. I think overall the running backs as a group averaged like three yards per carry or something like that.
Yeah. It wasn't all that great, but
not phenomenal.
Actually, it was 2.8. But you're talking about the running backs. Well, actually, yes. Wimsatt had the most at 3.7.
Okay, so
that's not good.
It's not good at all, actually.
No.
But between the two running backs, I thought they didn't do too bad though. Jayshon Benjamin's a true freshman and got the most carries, so that was kind of an eye opener. I thought he played really well. He's got great vision for a true freshman, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Juwan Jameson type. He's short, he's tiny, but he's got great vision. There was like a couple run plays where he just had that one quick cut, and he would cut to the left or cut to the right, and he, what do you call it? It was like breaking it for like a 4 or 5 yard gain.
Yeah.
I thought he was really impressive. I thought Kyle Monangai, especially in pass pro, was amazing.
Did you see that one hit?
Yeah.
I forget that was. I even wrote it down. I wanted to get a clip of it, but you guys have got to show it this week. That was like the hit of the week.
Yeah. No, that was huge. Yeah, it's all over our social medias.
Oh, it is.
It's actually on this YouTube channel. If you go search a little bit, yeah, awesome. We posted it as a short, which is like a reel or TikTok or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, no, I thought this was a pretty good game. They played phenomenal. They ran the ball down the gut. 17-yard drive for a touchdown, or 17-play drive for a touchdown, 16-play drive for a touchdown. This was and then the tempo. You controlled the entire game. And I think they had almost 30 minutes, over 30 minutes of possession. That was kind of incredible. But yeah, I just thought overall a great game for Rutgers. They played smart, didn't really turn the ball over other than the one, I think the muff punt, and that was it. But yeah, no, really, really good game. And there's really not much else to say there.
Well,
there's a lot more to say, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote down some of the key plays we can kind of go over from the beginning, but yeah, that hit was awesome. Yeah, and by the way, they did not talk about it on the broadcast. How awful was that? Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, guys.
Really?
I mean, yeah, they didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, we can't see the broadcast, so I didn't know what they said or not, but that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I know after I even didn't even see it at first, and then the guy behind me is like, "Yo, did you see that Monangai hit?" And I was like, "Oh, wait, what? I gotta go back. I'm gonna go clip it. And I went back. I was like, "Oh my god!" And you can hear my voice in the video or the reel or whatever, and then all you hear is me like, "Oh, like damn, that was bad."
Yes, that was awesome. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I can't find it right now, but if anybody hasn't seen it, you'll see it. Just check it out.
Yeah.
I tell you what, before I go through this, and you know what, I'm also gonna, because you can see it on the screen as well, I'm gonna post up the stats. Okay, so those are the actual stats. This is when I saw the 2.8 here. Yeah, that's not good. As we do that, I just want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, and share here on Rutgers Football. And also, and we mentioned this before, for the live shows, you can utilize the Super Chat, which is only for live only. And that's the button to the right of the comment box. And it's a cash symbol in the chat window. And you can donate anything you like. Could be $1, could be $5, whatever you want. And what's really cool about that is that depending on how much you donate, it'll be pinned to the top of the chat, and it'll stay there for the entire broadcast as long as you have the most donated to the channel. Also, we have super stickers, which are like the super chat, but a little bit more animated, and the super thanks, which you could actually get on the on-demand shows as well. So you can do that whether we're live or not. And of course, that means here on Rutgers Football, anytime Richie does one of his shows for football or basketball. So yeah, so this is here are the overall stats. Nothing spectacular. Wimsat, nothing spectacular. 5.6 per pass. Washington was the leader. You know, he made some pretty important catches. It seemed like every catch, that 9 average, was about right, it seemed, because he had like about 3, it's like 3 3rd and 9 first downs. It was pretty clutch.
Yeah, there's actually like a lot of interesting things just looking through the stats and just the overall game. If you start from the beginning, like you just said, Isaiah Washington, I want to point him out. He had the most targets too, and I didn't see that one coming going into today.
I think actually I had Jacoy Jackson probably going with the most targets as my prediction before today, or it might have been Dremel actually. It was one of those two. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I was a little shocked by Isaiah Washington getting targeted as much as he did. I know Jacoy did get in the game for a little bit, but it looked like he got dinged up, and then I thought he just kind of got the breath knocked out of him, and he just went to the sideline and was going to come back, but he never really came back. So the wide receivers as a whole didn't create a ton of separation, but I think we got the play of the day without a question is that Ian Strong touchdown to start the game. I think it was the first drive of the game for Rutgers, and it was just a beautiful catch in the end zone with a nice little tiptoe with the left foot. And I think they actually ruled him out of bounds at first. And then the band starts playing because they thought it was a touchdown. And then they just came back and they're like, nope, it's touchdown. And I was just very impressed. And he's been impressive all camp. We can now finally talk about it, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Season's here, so there's no more secrets anymore. Games have been played, or a game has been played. But Ian Strong's been phenomenal. He's been really, really good all camp. He's been not wide receiver 1, but pretty damn close to it. So I thought the wide receivers as a whole most struggled. I shouldn't say struggled. I didn't think they looked great. I didn't think they looked bad. I thought they looked average, and that's fine. It's against a team that wasn't that good, and they ran the ball a ton, and they got the win.
Yeah, if we take a look at it from first of all, how was the crowd?
Crowd was actually when I took 2 pictures. I took one with like 3 minutes before kickoff, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. Like it's nothing great. And then I took one about like 3 or 4 minutes into the game. So they were definitely a late arriving crowd, but they filled the stands pretty well. The corners, which are usually a little barren and empty and all that, were packed. Students showed out big time. It was announced 53,000, and I'd say that was pretty damn close. I know sometimes the numbers are a little funky based on what's announced and what's scanned, but I thought it was a huge crowd considering it was a Sunday afternoon, Labor Day weekend, beautiful day, sunny day. I thought a lot of people would go to the beach, and I was completely wrong in that one.
Lucky for us. I'm glad they enjoyed it, and it was perfect. That's what you want, not only for them to watch the game and be there, but for it to be as good as this was. All right, so taking a look, I mean, they get the ball, and immediately they have the first 3rd and 10 completion, the one where actually Langen at 9 on 3rd and 10, and they go for it. You knew they would, and then Monangai had 7, and that started those 4th and 1. The opportunities, 3 of them, 3 for 3. That's awesome. Benjamin running good, strong early in this drive as well. They had the 4th and 5 at the 40. Great patience by Wimsat. He threw the ball a little bit, not the way you particularly like it, but it just shows his athleticism. He hits Dremel. Nice pass. Keeps the drive going. I believe that was inside the 20. A few plays later, the Ian Strong touchdown, and that just capped off a 16-play, 75-yard drive, which was really amazing way to start the 7-minute drive, by the way, as well.
Yeah, that was couldn't have drew it much better if you were Graciano. He loves that. He loved the fact that how the way it played out and everything. Going forward on fourth, it's not something that's really been part of his repertoire in the past, but Shiano showed that he's not afraid to do it. I think he did it multiple times actually.
Yes.
So it was kind of impressive. He showed some guts and said, "I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get this." And they were able to run the ball. I know they didn't break any like giant runs. I think the biggest was probably that 15-yard run late game from Monangai for the touchdown, but I think they ran the ball pretty well. They were getting consistent 3, 4, 5 yards even.
They weren't losing yards. That was
exactly
important.
Yeah. No, I thought overall it was the game started out great for Rutgers. 16-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Then you follow it up with a 16-play, 80-yard touchdown drive, and then the next one's a field goal. And I'm like, oh my god,
what's going on here?
Who is this team?
Yeah.
You could just tell Northwestern was definitely, they don't have any really good bodies up front on the defensive line, and Rutgers kind of saw that, took advantage of it, and I would almost argue they abused it too. It would have been interesting to see if they had Sam Brown to see what he could have done. Against this defensive line, because he might have had an absolute field day. But I don't think you can complain about the two running backs they had. I know that, like I said, the average yards per carry wasn't great, but I thought both played pretty solid. Wimsett, we didn't really talk about much yet. 17 to 29, 59% for completion, made some smart decisions too. Decided to throw it away multiple times, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Put it nowhere near the defender, which is great. He did still miss on a couple passes. He missed a couple wide open receivers too, but end of the day, I thought he had a pretty solid game, and I think Kirk drew it up perfectly for him. Made it very simple, very easy, nothing crazy. Didn't really take many deep shots, but the ones that they did, they kind of worked out. Like the Ian Strong one was what, a 20-yard catch or something like that. Where was it actually? Ian Strong.
Yeah, who was?
Oh, was it? Yeah, how was? Yeah, 13-yard catch. Never mind. There was the one to Dremel too. That Dremel was actually out of bounds. That I thought could have been a touchdown. It was so close, and then Dremel was just out of bounds on that corner end zone. I forget what quarter it was. I don't even know anymore. My brain is mush right now. But yeah, I thought overall just a great game. I think Rutgers played it out perfectly the way they wanted to, and everything worked out in their favor. And the defense, oh my god, I've been hyping them up forever, but to allow one rushing yard through 3 quarters, that's insane.
And it wasn't like they didn't get a whole lot of pressure early in the game, but it really started to wear on Northwestern the longer the game went. And then there were a couple of key hits. I mean, matter of fact, it was, I believe, Bailey had the key hit early after the first touchdown. That was on a 3rd and 10. Mm-hmm. And then once Rutgers got the ball right back, that's when they drove down the field again and scored. And by the way, they ended the first quarter stats 131 to 32. They had the ball 13 minutes and 34 seconds to 1 minute and 26 seconds. That's how you dominate the first quarter of a football game. And then that drive was the drive that we talked about. Monangai's blitz pickup, which was on 3rd and 9 on the pass to Washington. And Wimsett, I think a few plays later, scored on the touchdown. And then he went up 14-0 on a 16-play, 80-yard drive for 8 minutes and 12 seconds. So, and you know what was also good was the officiating. Surprisingly.
The offense, like I said.
How surprising was it that the officials...
Very, very quiet day for them.
Yes, and they actually overturned a couple of calls that they should have overturned, including the Strong touchdown, the 2 targeting potential calls. So I was like, wait a second here. What's going on? There's actually some good officiating going on in college football. So we've got some breaks.
The Igbinosin not targeting, whatever you want to call it. I thought that one was definitely a little questionable at first. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, he's sliding. Why are we going for him? Like, just let him go. But he ended up not hitting him in the head, which was good. The smart play. And then the other one completely, I was like, there's no way that's targeting. Shaquan Loyal absolutely laid out the defender. That was the receiver. But what a hit. Like, a lot of hits today on offense and defense between Monangai, between Loyal. Dixon had one really big hit. Igbinosin had that one that was like borderline targeting, but not targeting. It was a great day for that defense. I'm telling you, 1 rushing yard through 3 quarters. for Northwestern is like, you don't see those type of stats. We're talking Chris Ash era stats over here.
By the way, we've got a few super chats. Looks like My Crown. Want to thank My Crown for the $4.99 super chat. And we got a couple others in here as well. So keep those coming. We appreciate it. And yes, HJG, $2. No delay penalties. Yes, only 2 penalties. How about that for the entire game? And it would have been a shutout too if it wasn't for the really only, I guess, not major, but little thing they're going to have to fix, and that's returning kicks because it doesn't look good right now. Rochelle had some.
I saw someone on our board say it already.
What's that?
Yeah, I saw someone say it on our boards already, and I was just, they're like, "Hey, bench the kid for next week," and I'm like, "All right, well, it's first game jitters. Let's give him a break a little bit." Like I get it. He did muff 2, which is not good. No. 1 he lost, 1 he was able to retain, but it's tough. Like I think if you're Rutgers, you just got to get a guy back there that can literally just fair catch everything. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Just let him fair catch everything and send the house for the block. That's Schiano's MO since he's been a head coach at Rutgers, even his first tenure and now his second tenure too. It's all about blocking kicks, and I think that's probably the smartest move right now is to just find someone that can be sturdy, catch the ball, and just fair catch. That's it. You don't need to go crazy.
Who would that be, as far as you know?
In my opinion, if I had to, I'd probably Aaron Young before he got injured or out for the game. I think he would have been one. I think Christian Dremel is probably another option. I just don't know if you want to risk your starting slot receiver back there. But I mean, teams have done stuff like that in the past. Like Deshaun Jackson was wide receiver 1 for the Eagles and was still kick returner. Like it's and especially if you're just going to fair catch, just whoever has the best hands on the team. I'm just throwing you back there. And,
good idea.
Hey, you might even be in strong at this point because I'm telling you, that catch I can't get over. That was a beautiful touchdown catch.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and as a freshman too, so a lot to look forward to.
True freshman.
Yeah, true freshman. Exactly.
Absolutely nuts.
And Northwestern tried to make things a little interesting. So it's 14-0. They go for the fake punt, and I mean, it's like it was a really nice play by Carnell Davis, I believe, made that play to stop the receiver.
Yes, it was. It was Carnell Davis.
So he picked it up really, and what was really good about it was not just that he got there, but he really, the tackle was just perfect. That's exactly how you draw it up, because a lot of times player catches the ball and he finds a way to get that extra yard, but that was a really nice tackle by Davis to make sure that he didn't go anywhere. And it only led to an extra 3 points. And then, of course, Patel wound up missing the second of 2 field goals, but it's good for him to go out there and just at least get all the firsts over with. So. Yeah,
he's got to get more comfortable. I know the 32-yarder, perfect. The 38, and it's like it hits the uprights, and it's just like you need a kicker. Like he did win the job. I actually didn't see him winning the job, and then he came into camp and started kicking lights out from like 40 in, and it was just a miss. It is what it is. It happens. It's jitters. He's a kicker. First time out there, I thought he didn't look bad either. Punting was surprisingly pretty well, I thought. I didn't think he was going to be able to replace Korsak like he did, but he had a couple. He had 4 inside to 20.
Yes, he did.
I think he had 5 punts total. So that's pretty good, I thought.
You can't ask for much better than that.
I mean, special teams as a whole surprised me today. Minus the returns, obviously the muff. But I thought overall that the punting and kicking unit was pretty solid. I didn't think it was bad.
Max Melton came up with an interception on a bad throw. Quarterback just not very good, by the way, for Northwestern. So we have to, understand that. So it is what it is, but that's all you can do. You line up against the team and the players that you line up against, and you take care of business the way you're supposed to. And they came up. Max came up. Now he was beaten a couple of times, but Henning's a good player. Matter of fact, there was one time on that deep pass it looked like he could have got beat deep, but at least it came up with an interception. And for the most part, you can't really say anything negative about how the defense played, of course. So And by the way, speaking of
No,
Loyal, he
but
came up.
I did find it interesting. Oh, God.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I found it super interesting that they were actually targeting Melton over longer beam for majority of the game. Which you figured they'd go after cornerback 2, not cornerback 1, but and then it was kind of funny because like midway through the third quarter when longer beam had the pick, I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, that's the first time they targeted longer beam in like a long time. And all of a sudden, the very next play gets picked, and I'm like, that could be why. Maybe they shouldn't target him. That was probably there. You go. I kind of knew what I was talking about for a second. Yeah, no, that Melton had some issues at first, but the pick was nice. The defensive line absolutely destroyed Northwestern's offensive line. And Aaron Lewis was relatively quiet, but he still was able to cause some havoc. Wesley Bailey was good until he got dinged up a little bit, but he's okay, by the way. He was on the sideline on a bike, so he was moving around. I think it was just you get hit and you get bruised up, and he's good to go, it sounds like, though, because he was with the team still out there. Maya Nahanatu was pretty good. Isaiah Aiton was pretty good. Dude, that guy is massive, though. Like, I know we talked about it previously, but Isaiah Aiton is just like, he's not a human. Like, he's huge. Like, he is just massive for a defensive tackle. But that D-line, they had a field day. And then you see Kenny Fletcher come in, see Jordan Thompson come in. All these other guys are coming in and still producing. Like, this, when Shiano says it's 10 deep, he means it's 10 deep. Like, this defensive line is crazy deep. And they made some really nice moves today, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, especially with not so good Temple coming up. So,
well, we'll see. I mean, it's the same quarterback, and matter of fact, Temple, I think they're better than they were last year. I know it's not saying a whole lot, but it wasn't like Rutgers blew them out last year.
True.
But this is a home game. Yeah, it's I think it's a little early in the season, and I know it looked great, but this is why I felt when we talked the other day that I didn't really think the line was justified. I didn't know why it was. But Northwestern is just going to be a really bad football team. And I wouldn't be surprised if Temple was better than Northwestern.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I know Big Ten against Temple, I get
struggled with Akron.
All I'm saying
Temple
is I'm not
going
to.
with Akron.
Yeah, I'm just not going into this game being overexcited. Let's just put it that way. I'm not overconfident, I should say. All right.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's the blackout uniforms, right? 7:30 at night, Saturday night.
All right.
SHI Stadium. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Temple's the better. I think they might be just as bad. I think it's close. They're both really bad, but it's interesting. I'm trying to read the chat over here. A lot of people are talking about Gus Lewinsky's, who surprise starter of the day, starting center. I don't think anyone saw that coming after Ireland Brown basically took the job easily last year and just ran with it all 12 games or whatever it was.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of a surprise to us too. We've seen Ireland Brown all practice. He's been starting center one. I had him as one of the 3 solidified guys as a starting offensive lineman.
Okay.
But then they rotated every single place except center. And Zawinskis stayed in at center, I think, every snap, if I recall. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens because Dunlap got replaced by Felter. Missouri replaced who was right tackle? Tyler Needham. Jafani came in at one point for Asamoah. Holland Pierce even sat out for a couple series with Taj White coming in after him. So if you don't know the 2 deep, because there is no 2 deep technically, you kind of know the 2 deep now.
And that's important, especially on days like today when it's hot, and these guys, and it's gonna be a long season. You need to have the depth matter. And Sean Williams on our chat board said the team looks like a Big Ten team, and Sean hit it right on the head there. And that's it. We looked at the games this weekend from some of the other Big Ten teams, and we don't look out of place now. Now we're a little bit more balanced than because last year our offense was pitiful. Our offense looks like they are no longer pitiful, and now I feel a lot more confident that this team can win 6 games.
The schedule is not helping them in that case, but I do think they looked a lot better than I thought they would. Offensively, they were just played smart football, and that's all you can really ask for. And then, like I said before, they're still missing some key pieces. Like if they can get Sam Brown back, that's going to be a huge piece right there. If they can get Aaron Young back, he's been very helpful. The last scrimmage they had, he had like, I think it was like 25, 30 something carries. Like it was ridiculous. It was like his biggest workload ever that I've ever seen actually for Aaron Young, I think since he's been on the Banks. But I think get those guys back. If you could figure out this NCAA issue and Nassim Brantley, I think he can contribute too. Because you do need some help at wide receiver. I don't think there's a question about it. I thought Chris Long had a pretty good camp. I thought he'd make a little bit more noise, but he also got dinged up. So he did come back. But yeah, and relatively, like I said before, great game. They played smart. They got away pretty much injury-free. And the defense showed out. The defense showed that they're next level good. And I think they're going to keep you in a lot of games.
Big Watts, 12. Now, he must have been, of course, at the game. I wasn't. You were. Said Gavin had Jaquay open deep, but never would pass to him. Did you notice any of that? And Jaquay also took a hit, so he must be okay.
Yeah, he's fine because he was still on the sideline after. I know he met with the trainer. I think they went in the tent for a second, like super secret doctor tent that you can't see anything in because God forbid. But yeah, no, I think he's fine. There was a couple like plays, like Isaiah Washington was wide open on one where Gavin just didn't throw it. And I think that's more so kind of Kirk's teaching, saying like, hey, if it's risky, don't throw it. Like, were they open? Yeah. Should you probably have thrown a couple more deep balls at least? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, they won 24-7. It should have been 24-0 technically. So I don't think you can really complain.
Yeah.
He had some he had a lot of time in the pocket too, which was nice.
He did. Yes.
Which was surprising a little bit, but at the same time not, because like I said before, I think I said it actually on our promo, Northwestern only had 2 scholarship defensive tackles in spring, and they added like I think 2 or 3 more, but they're all from lower levels, so they're really not the best in the world. But I think for an offensive line that's seen struggles, I thought they did pretty well. And the only issue was, and I saw it briefly on the broadcast because I try to watch it in the background a little bit. I saw Shiano chewing out Flaherty at one point, and I was like, "Oh, geez!" Like,
really?
Yeah.
Did you know why?
No, there was no real reason behind it. I didn't really. It just seemed like the offensive line had a couple struggles here and there.
Okay.
Like, I don't think they were phenomenal, but I don't think they were bad. I thought they were just good.
Did what they had to.
Yeah. They didn't do anything crazy. They didn't. Not really. There's a couple times where Gavin got hit, or running backs were getting hit, but like a guy like Mononga got hit in the backfield and just kept going, and it was like, oh geez, like this man just doesn't stop. Like it's almost like that Pacheco type of mentality, or beast mode mentality, I guess that people used to call it. I just referenced it to Pacheco because he runs like that now, and that's why he's one of the better running backs in the league now. So it was a great game for Rutgers, though. I think that's phenomenal. You get a Big Ten win, and the defense I can't stop raving about. Like that was impressive as hell.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
PMAT Apoisit, if I'm pronouncing that right, donated $1.99. So thanks to PMAT, and we appreciate the donations, including Urban Outdoors DMV for $10. Attaboy, Urban. I listened to the RU is going to lose fear porn all week while I was driving back from Laredo. Great team win this week. Have some of my OT money. I appreciate the 10, but I'm not sure I understand what is he saying there, Richie? Is this
I
slang?
guess people being nervous about the spread and everything.
Oh, really?
And I was one of them. I didn't think they were going to cover. I thought it was going to be close.
That's right.
The spread was at 6.5, and I think I had them winning by 6. But yeah, no, like I said, they played phenomenal. They played a lot better than I expected them to.
Yeah, I was like I said, I would have been I would have come on this show and just blasted this team if they would have and you could see why. If this would have been a 4-quarter game with that team that they were playing, it would have been because of the offense again. It would have meant that the offense again is not doing their job, and then oh my goodness, here comes another one of these seasons again. Did we have to go through this again? And I'm glad that that's not the case. So that's why that's the thing because it's really hard to watch some of these games. These are the hardest ones to watch. The ones that you expect to win. The ones that if you lose, it's going to kill you. I can't wait for like the games that that when this team plays that they're an underdog, that they're not supposed to win. Whether even if it's against teams that maybe are a pick 'em, Michigan State, games like that. Those are the games I just feel a little bit more at ease. But in these, like Virginia Tech might be one of those games. But even this week, this Saturday night, I'm going to be kind of nervous because you can't lose to Temple. So it's like, yeah. So I was expecting them to deliver based on what I've heard and everything that I think that we kind of touched up on a little bit with the new coaching staff, that they delivered what we'd hoped that they were going to, and that's a sigh of relief. Also want to shout out to DW Kim, who donated $9.99 to the chat. So appreciate DW Kim as well. Great work, guys, and a great win to start the season. So appreciate it, DW. I noticed this, and I don't know if you noticed this too much, but 90% of their runs or 95% of their runs look like they were inside. I saw nothing designed to go to the outside.
Yeah, 100%.
A complete shift. Like there wasn't any reverses, there weren't any wildcat, there weren't any of this. Those are the runs that get you negative yardage. So that's another great coaching job.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said before, Kirk Shiraka proved today he's worth quite a bit, and probably about every penny Rutgers is paying him. Kept it simple, kept it right up the gut, and that's probably the strength of the offensive line too. Would be they're probably I guess you could argue Holland Pierce on the left side, but when he came out, probably be right up the gut, just punch it up the gut. I don't really trust. I'll be honest, I don't trust right tackle Tyler Needham too much yet, but he grew on me a little bit. I thought he had a pretty solid game. So yeah, I think you just run it up the gut, and you're getting a consistent, like I said before, maybe a 3, 4, 5 yard gain. So just keep doing it. Why stop? Just keep running it up the gut, and that's exactly what they did. 34 carries between the two of them, and Benjamin and Monangai. It was a great performance. I know the numbers aren't phenomenal, but they're still pretty good, and it was enough to control that tempo and keep drives alive. We've seen so many drives last year that were killed by the run game. This year it's a completely different team. So we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next couple weeks.
Look, I hope I'm wrong, but I just want, and I know I see some of this coming from the chat. I wouldn't look at Temple coming back from Akron as that's a problem. I really believe that Joe Moorhead is starting to build something in Akron. They played a lot better at the end of the season last season, as what's going to happen when you're a new coach and you're trying to rebuild. And then they get off to a good start where they almost upset Temple. So don't look at that as, they couldn't even beat Akron. They had to come back. Don't look at that. And don't forget also, Temple had some pretty close calls last year as well. They were playing some pretty good football at the end of the season. Once Warner got under center, I think the Rutgers game might have been his first game, right? And so they were a lot better. So yeah, I wouldn't look at that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's an easy win. But I just I wouldn't just look at Temple and say, it's Temple, we should blow them out. I think we should win double digits, no question about it. If we're as good as we hope they are, we should. It's a home game, but I don't think it's going to be like easy. I don't think we're going to coast in the manner that we did today, because today I don't think we're going to. Besides the high school matchup we have in a few weeks, I don't think we're going to win a game this easy this season.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Northwestern stinks. Don't get me wrong. They're bad. Like they're really bad. And that might be a product of the team last year going 1-11, between the turmoil that's happening off the field between the Fitzgerald thing and all that stuff. They're just not a good team whatsoever. So I don't think you're right. I don't think Rutgers is ever going to face a team that bad for the rest of the season. I think Temple's better. How much better? Probably not that much better. But I think I've been pretty adamant on our podcast, especially that Virginia Tech is the litmus test, and that's where you're kind of going to see if this is actually a bowl team or not. Yep. So we got a couple. You can't look ahead, of course.
And Virginia did they play Purdue?
They play Purdue this upcoming week, so you get a little preview of them versus Big Ten competition too. So, although Purdue's in a weird spot this year, I know they won the Big Ten West, but they're falling apart a little bit. New coach, new quarterback. Kind of a rebuild, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, go
ahead.
I think Temple is going to be not a cruise to a win, but I think they're going to get a pretty solid win, and I'm intrigued to see what that spread opens up as.
What do you think?
I think probably probably should be 10.5. I would say. I think that's pretty fair.
Well, again, if you think it's 10.5, and that pretty much is what I'm saying is that I don't think that it's going to be that easy. Like it's over at halftime.
No.
I agree with the point spread. I think if they only gave, but then again, Rutgers did blow out Northwestern. So yeah, maybe between 10 and 14, somewhere in there, but maybe closer to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have said 14 if Temple had lost, but now that they won and came back in that Akron game, I'm kind of like, all right, well, maybe 14 is a little too much. I'm thinking like probably 10. I think 10.5 is probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And usually we get spreads today, but I know because the game's on Sunday, it's probably a little weird. So I'm assuming we'll probably get a spread tomorrow. But yeah, I think 10.5 is pretty accurate. I think that's
that's the minimum.
But I think you just keep the offense. Yeah, just keep the offense vanilla again. Play it smart.
Yep.
As long as you don't turn the ball over, you should cruise to a nice 10-point plus victory on next Saturday.
Who do you think was the best? I know we mentioned some of the players who made plays, but if you had was there one guy that if you had to say a defensive MVP, who would that be? I know it's hard because everybody really contributed.
It is tough.
So
I thought Longer being played really well. I thought he did a hell of a job. They didn't target him much, but when they did, he made plays. I thought he was great at corner. He locked down half the field basically. I think you can argue the defensive line as a whole, which was also, we didn't even talk about a group that didn't even have their defensive line coach because Marquise Watson ended up missing the game due to a medical thing.
Oh, okay.
So they had someone else step up, and Jarrett Kate, I think it's pronounced. He's the former Maine defensive coordinator, so he kind of knows how Harris Simiak already operates from during his time at Maine as the head coach. But yeah, I think the defensive line as a whole played really well. They dominated that Northwestern offensive line. They were making play after play, whether it be Wesley Bailey. Aaron Lewis had a couple quarterback hurries. I know it didn't really translate into sacks. Tyreen Powell was a hell of a pass rusher at multiple times. He had to smack the quarterback a couple of times. The defense just, I can't stop raving about them. They're speedy, they're quick, they play smart, and they have a crazy pass rush. I know Wesley Bailey got dinged up, but he comes out, like I said before, and Kenny Fletcher comes in, who's just as good. Renee Conga came in at defensive tackle and had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
And they just rotate guys in and out. Like the 1 third down package has Muhammad Toure in the middle, Aaron Lewis on one side, Wesley Bailey on the other, and I think it was Maya Nahanatu in the middle with him. And it's like, how do you stop those 3 pass rushers?
Sure.
Like they're gonna be really fun to watch. This dark side, as they call themselves, the defense is going to be insanely fun to watch this year. I think we're gonna be talking about Joe Harris-Simiak potentially getting head coaching jobs sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you're right. The longer they can keep these guys, the better. By the way, PMAT reminds us of last year's Temple game, where Longerby missed that pick 6 on the first play of the game, and the fact that he wasn't able to. He would have walked into the end zone, and it was a close game. From then, you just felt that would have been all right. Rutgers would have taken an early lead. Maybe their defense would have taken control, but he dropped the ball, and it turned into a very long day where Temple actually had an opportunity to win the game late. So, yeah, thanks for reminding us about that, but that is true. That's what happened. By the way, who was it?
The spread is out.
Okay.
So the spread for Rutgers Temple is out, and it is 10 points. So
there you go.
I don't want to
right on the money.
Pretty good though.
On the money, baby.
Yeah.
Good job.
So there you go. If you guys want to go, it looks like some people want to go make some money on that. They're
hey,
saying it's
before
easy
it
money.
moves.
So hey, I'm not saying I don't have gambling advice, but I'm just saying it looks
before
pretty
it
good.
moves. That's it, because it could move.
So
if it's going to move, it's going to move to Rutgers. You would think, even though last week it moved to Northwestern. But I think after this performance, if it's going to move, you would believe it would move to Rutgers. Mega Geeker wanted an update on injuries. I think that's what he was saying. I know we gave an update, but bottom line is, you're saying nobody came out of this. It appears in bad shape.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously it takes a couple, like you take a day or two to go back, and like you're going to wake up the next morning. I'm sure half of those guys are going to wake up and be like, damn, I'm tired. I'm bruised. I'm beaten. But that's football. You just got to get back. But for the most part, everyone that went out seems like they're pretty okay. Wesley Bailey is probably the most serious one, it looked like, because the minute he fell, I think he tripped over Max Melton. The minute he did that, he like looked at the sideline and just started waving real quick, like come over here. And he looked like he was in pretty rough shape. He looked like he was in pain, but he was on a bike. Like I want to say what 10 minutes after that, 15 minutes after that. So they were working out his knee, just stretching it out, or his leg in general. I shouldn't say if it was knee or not, but he was also with the team post game singing on the alma mater and all that. So I think he's going to be fine. Jaquay Jackson's the one that worries me a little bit because he did go back to the sideline, but he didn't come back in the game at all. Okay. I thought he just kind of lost his breath, and it happens. You get hit pretty hard like he did, and it's like, all right, I need like a minute. I can't breathe. But yeah, so I think he was back on the sideline. It seemed like he was ready to go back in, but it's hard to really tell when you're in the middle of the game. Plus, Isaiah Washington was playing pretty well on the outside. Chris Long was doing his thing. Ian Strong. So there's bodies at wide receiver. I think they need to get a little bit better, but they did create some separation at times. I think they need to do it on a more consistent basis. But I would say overall injuries, they're pretty scot-free for the most part.
Glad to hear it. All right. So this is going to wrap it up. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Of course, this is going to be available on demand as well, but doing this live is the fun part. We want to thank everybody that engaged in the chat as well, and anybody that donated to the channel too. So we super thank you for that. And
there you go.
And we're going to be back next. Oh, it's a late one. Wait a second. So we were on the air at, let's see, 4:40. Yeah. The game started at 12. So that's 4 hours. So 7:30, is it 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. So we're not going to be potentially on the air until midnight next Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a late one. So,
wow.
Hey, well, I'll make it work. I'll make it work.
It's going to be fun.
We can do it.
It's a Saturday night.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And then when it's over,
yeah, exactly.
You can keep the fun going. So, all right, Richie, enjoyed doing this for the first time. And thank goodness it was a win, and it was an easy, dominating win as well. So, yeah, we'll see everybody, or I'll see everybody here on this channel next Saturday night, which is actually potentially going to be next Sunday morning. And Richie, of course, your next show, do you have a specific day that you're definitely going to be on the air on the channel?
We don't yet, but Mike is actually in this chat right now watching us. So me and Mike will be back on the podcast very soon, whether it be tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, sometime probably tomorrow or Tuesday. Okay. It is Labor Day, so I may take the day off and, take the day off of labor. Yeah. I don't know. I might have to hit the beach. The beach is supposed to be really nice tomorrow. I'm just saying. Probably Tuesday, because I think Shiano's Temple presser will be Tuesday, and we usually do a recap off of that. So I will say probably Tuesday, but no guarantees. And then we'll probably have a Temple guest on later this week too.
All right, sounds good. So Richie, again, it was fun. Let's hope we have another fun one next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Rutgers 1-0 to start the 2023 season. And we'll be back next week for some more post-game.